Welcome guys to another episode of Nas Talk. Today I wanted to take a moment to talk to you about 5 most important things you need to know prior to moving to Charlotte. My name is Daniel Kumu. I'm a local realtor with Nas Group at Keller Williams Realty. Coming on number 1 on my list. Let me just tell you, Charlotte is not cheap. The median home price in Charlotte is at $385,000, literally $15,000 away from being $400,000. So if you want thinking that you move to Charlotte, find a home at $200,000 or $150,000, those days are over with. I started my real estate career a little over a decade ago. At that time, $250,000 would have bought you a 4-bedroom home, 2-car garage, all the 9 yards. In today's market, that price will almost not get you anything. So prior to moving to Charlotte, you may want to take that in consideration that Charlotte is not cheap. At the present time, there are no current new construction single-family home in Charlotte less than $355,000. So if you're looking for a new construction and you are in a $350,000 price point, perhaps you have a hard time finding a new home. A couple of weeks back, the news, it shows that prior to COVID, January 2023, the median rent in Charlotte is about $1,550. Fast forward to January 2023, the median rent in Charlotte is at $1,900. So prior to moving to Charlotte, those are a few things you wanted to consider. Charlotte is not a cheap place to move to, and you wanted to make sure you know what you're getting into before making a decision to move to Charlotte. Coming on number 2 on my list, the cost of living in Charlotte is high. Have a family of 5, a wife and a 3 daughters ranging from 2 years old to 12 years old. And we average roughly about $200 to $300 in grocery bill every week. If you do the math, that is about $1,200 a month just in grocery bill. That is not counting the cost of your utilities, which may get you anywhere between $200 to $300. If you are renting, your median rent in Charlotte will range you anywhere between $1,600 to $1,700. If you have a car payment that you add into that, that is another average of $500 a month. Before you know it, you are spending almost $4,000 to $5,000 just to live in Charlotte. So if you're planning on moving to Charlotte, the cost of living in Charlotte is high, and you may want to take some of those figures in consideration before making your move to Charlotte. So next on my list, on number 3, family. Family is very important to me. As I mentioned to you guys prior, I have 3 daughters from 2 to 12 years old, and we like to do things on the weekend, do things from time to time as well, just to get them out of the house, because if you don't do so, they will sit at the house, be on Roblox all the time. I know a lot of you parents will relate. One thing that I would say, Charlotte has limited activity for families. We see ourselves sometimes traveling outside of Charlotte to Atlanta, near cities, just to find things to do. Just last weekend, we took our kids to Atlanta just so they can go to the Slam Museum to go play. So if you're a family and have kids looking to move to Charlotte, Charlotte is growing. A lot of new things that are happening in Charlotte are geared toward the young adult. You will see restaurant opening every week. There's a lot of brewery opening in Charlotte, yet not so much geared toward families and kids. So if you have a family looking to move to Charlotte, that might be something to take in consideration because of the limited amount of activity for kids and family to do in Charlotte. Next thing on my list, coming on number 4, is the public transportation in Charlotte. When I first migrated to the United States, we moved into New York. And if you were to compare the transportation system in New York compared to Charlotte, you see there's a big difference. I live in a town I call Harrisburg, which is right outside of Charlotte, and there's no public transportation taking you from the inner side of Charlotte to that town. So the limited amount of public transportation in Charlotte makes Charlotte one of those cities that, though it is growing, there's still a lot more work. Charlotte's still lacking that transportation. Charlotte's still lacking a lot, because especially if you're living outside of the city limit, getting to work or getting to the inner city, you are somewhat forced to have your own transportation. So coming from a bigger city, public transportation is very reliable. Here in Charlotte, it is very limited. So as you are closer to the inner city, it's easier to have access to the government, the public transportation. As you go outside of the inner city, it is somewhat limited to have access to the public transportation. So you are forced to somewhat have your own transportation, where at the city you may live at the city without having to have your own transportation and rely solely on public transportation. Last but not least, coming on number 5 on the list is the crime rate in Charlotte. With the growth comes the raise on crime rate. There's an article published on charlottenc.gov that shows although the homicide fell almost 11% compared to previous years, the property crime has gone up almost 17%. Crime associated with auto theft or break-in, those have gone up. Also, there have been an increase in juvenile crime, juvenile assault, juvenile violence crime. And some of those are some of the stuff that you may want to investigate prior to moving to Charlotte. The crime rate in Charlotte is, I won't say the best, yes, the crime rate in Charlotte is going up. So if you are thinking of moving to Charlotte, those are 5 important things that you may want to take in consideration before making your move. The cost of living in Charlotte is not cheap. Home prices are on the rise. If you are a family looking to move to Charlotte, you may want to do some research on places to be, what are some of the activities the family like to do, and the crime rate, and choose an area that will help you make sure you are in the right place in Charlotte. Hope you find this very interesting. If you have any other question, please reach out to me if you are looking to make a move to Charlotte. My number is at the number. Call us and we'll be more than happy to help you throughout the process or give you any information you may need to help your transition very smooth. Thank you, and we'll see you on the next video.